Hello my friends, last time I posted on YouTube, it was 7 years ago. I was a different person. And the painful truth is that this guy was living a shadow life. You know, I enjoyed supporting other coaches and interviewing experts, but really deep down, what I was longing to do all along was this. Which is exactly what I am blessed to be doing today. You might be asking, Rick, how did you go from playing in the shadows, procrastinating, self-sabotaging, doubting yourself, to where I am now, which is like living my truth, being in alignment with my values, my mission, what I care most about? How did I make the leap from there to here? I'm gonna reverse engineer in this video the 3 key elements of my transformation so that you can do it in half the time that it took me. First, this is important. It's not just airy-fairy preference. It's a matter of life and death. Get this. People who have a sense of purpose and meaning in their life have a 50% reduction in all-cause mortality. So what are the real-world implications of this? Well, it means that living an unpurposeful, unfulfilling, meaningless life is literally killing you. Bearing in mind what I just said, get this. 85% of Americans are unhappy in their jobs. Only 38% of Americans are actually satisfied with their life. And you combine those statistics together and you've got a lot of unhappy and unhealthy people. I can totally relate to that. When I was in my mid-20s and I was supporting other coaches and experts with my media company, I was like so close to what I wanted to do, but yet like so far away, and it was kind of killing me. And that would show up in so many different ways, right? If like you're in a job now, if you're in a role, isn't really what you want to do, you'll know like me, it kind of eats away at you. And that's what it was doing. And then that would show up as, you know, not doing the things that were super good for me. So I'd find myself maybe drinking a little too much or eating a little too much. I'd find myself escaping because I was escaping actually stepping into my life. Maybe there's an area of your life right now where this is showing up for you. And in a second, I'm gonna give you 3 dead giveaways to see if this is true. Maybe it's your job, maybe it's your relationship. Like it's not bad, but it's not the exceptional life that you know that you wanted. Don't worry, I'm gonna give you the 3 things that changed the trajectory of my life because I know it's not easy. And I had to go figure all of these things out the hard way, and in a second, I'm gonna break them down for you step by step. So the first thing is I had to claim my desire. I wanted to be a coach, not a filmer, an interviewer of coaches. It can be really easy for us to trick ourselves into doing something that's not quite right for us. So I'm gonna give you 3 dead giveaways. It's kind of like a little test, and you can use this as a metric to see if you are actually living in the shadows versus living in an aligned life. So the first clue is, where are you spending your time and money? What are you currently doing that you're saying is a hobby, but actually you're obsessed with it? For example, for me, since my early 20s, I've been spending tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars on coaching and programs and support and therapy and retreats. But yet when it actually came to stepping into doing it myself, all of my self-worth and self-doubt came up, and it prevented me from doing it. So where you spend your money and time is a really good place to look. So imagine for a second that you had no fear of failure. Would some of those things that you're doing as hobbies actually be a career? It's a great little cue to follow. Go look at your bank statements and just see, maybe there's like $100, $1,000, $10,000 that you're spending in one area. It's a really good clue. The second one is my favorite, and it's false starts. Is there some things in your life that you've started to do? Maybe it was writing a book, a podcast, a business, and you started to take the steps, but then the old fear came back and you just shelved it and put it to the side. I can honestly put my hand up. When I was 26, I even published my own coaching website. I had it all built, designed, and then I didn't feel good enough. So I put it on the back burner and followed my shadow career instead. So is there any area in your life where you've had a false start or two, but that you've kind of maybe been like pushing to the background and forgetting about it? It's another really good place to look. So the third point is, notice where you're feeling envy. Like when you're maybe on social media or out with your friends, notice what comes up. Where do you get triggered? Maybe you even say that you don't like these people, but if you're being really honest, you do. You can also look at the other side. Notice where your inspiration is, like what people are really lighting you up, what people really inspire you. Notice where those 2 pieces are. There's a lot of data inside of that. So right now in your life, who are you envious of? Create a little list. No one has to see it. And you can write another list with all the people that are inspiring you. And sometimes you might find that the same person is on both lists. It's a really good little exercise, and it's another clue to where it is that you're really here to go. So the second piece is really getting honest with yourself and asking yourself, what is in the way? I asked myself this question, and I got really honest, and I recognized that there were beliefs, traumas, pain, dysregulated nervous system. There was a lot of stuff that was holding me back from what I actually wanted wanted to do. Now, this might be different for all of you. You might have something else in your way, but I'm gonna share through mine in case there's any clues there for you. What I noticed with my clients, my friends, and my peers is that these three obstacles tend to be affecting pretty much everyone. So the first is a dysregulated nervous system. So as we come into this life, our nervous system's picking up all the cues of danger and safety. And based on whatever it is that you experience, all of those cues from your life get stored in your body and nervous system. And then we can internalize those cues as the things that we should move towards or stay away from. So if, for example, you sharing your voice or what you're passionate about or your joy when you were 2, 3, 4, or 5 years old and that got squashed, then you go to do it as an adult, maybe you don't even go near it because your nervous system is holding the fact that that wasn't safe. When we can learn how to regulate our nervous system and to attend to those parts that encountered fear and danger from often many things that as an adult we wouldn't find that way, but we can go back and we can reprogram and re-regulate our nervous systems so that we can be coming from the safe, connected, powerful place, powerful human that you are right now. A couple of things that worked really well for me was somatic work, so finding a coach or therapist who has somatic capacities. The second was breath work. I had some incredible results from breath work. So breath work is another powerful tool that can allow the nervous system to expand, stretch, and also heal so that you can build more resiliency. Number 2 is coming from, and they're linked, is also to early childhood experiences. Now, these ones can be almost more subtle because when we think of trauma or the things that hold us back, sometimes we just think of the big things, which create the big experiences of danger in the nervous system. But some of the more subtle things can be around what's called attachment. So we have an attachment system as well as a nervous system, and our attachment system is also looking for cues of connection and safety and danger. So that's really the part of us that is looking for, am I loved? Now, if we didn't quite get the level of attunement or our needs met as we grew up, the younger parts of us, often unconscious, can come to creating beliefs around what that meant. So maybe you grew up in an environment and you had the experience that everyone loved you, and they very likely did. But if you weren't having your needs met the way that a young person needs to have them met, it's very easy to come to the conclusion that my needs don't matter, and then they just get squashed down. So when you turn into an adult and you're like, well, my needs matter and the career and mission and alignment that I'm here for matters, that younger part can be like, no, but my needs don't matter. So you play it small. Some ways to take this on. Firstly is just having the awareness. The fact that you're here watching this video right now says that your unfolding is already happening. And if you want to take that to a next level, because what is heard in relationship is healed in relationship, it's finding containers and support that can support you in transmuting and transforming these younger parts. And one of the challenges I faced in this is I identified as a lone wolf. I try to do everything by myself. And as you can probably sense already, that came from my childhood. So when I was able to recognize that, I started to take steps to find support that felt really good. And that allowed my nervous system and attachment system to recognize that getting support is safe, it's good. And not only that, it accelerated my growth massively because I was getting around people who had already walked the path, and I was able to learn at a much faster pace. So in the last 15 years, I've experimented with pretty much everything. Like I said, this is one of my favorite topics. So I've done breath work, worked with somatic therapists, done polyvagal theory, every single plant medicine that you could imagine, been on retreats, been to Tony Robbins, been to Brendan Bashar, read over 300 books, been to therapy, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. That's just like off the top of my head. So you don't have to do all of that. There are many different paths up the mountain, but what's most important is that you get the support that you need to walk your path. And if you want a shortcut, I've taken that last 15 years of experience and I've condensed all the nervous system attachment work, meditation I've done, and I've put it all in one app. It's called the ToolBox. It's free and the link is below. Point 3, the last thing I did is I went all in. Not 95, not 96, not 97, 98, 99, all in. Completely burned the boats. And this may sound dramatic, but I was in a place where I was like, I would rather die than continue living the way I was living. And when I was by myself, a lot of the time I was suffering and I was really done with it. I was like, you know, when you're done with something in your life, I was with this, and I got to that place where it was like, no matter what, I will find a way. I will die trying. I will spend my time, my energy, my resources, everything I can to solving this problem. And I set out on that quest. So you might not have to turn your life upside down like I did. What's most important here is it's an internal commitment. Just like the internal commitment we might make to our partner or a friend or a business partner. It's that same internal commitment that I am willing to commit to this. And from that space, from that internal commitment, everything else will begin to unfold. So instead of watching 5 hours of Netflix per week, it's 5 hours of upskilling or spending the time playing your music or writing or whatever it is that you're here to do. You prioritize that time and you move it from being a maybe to a must. When people are committed to something as a must, they get it done. It's aligned with your beliefs, it's aligned with who you are, and you're not willing to sacrifice that for anything. It's taking this $600 you spend on a Friday and Saturday night and putting it towards coaching or courses or support that have you move in the direction that you're here to move in. If it's really important, you will find a way, you will make a way. Think of all of the other things that you've done in your life. Just take a second. Think back to all of the other things that you've done that were an absolute must for you. Maybe they were maybe for someone else. And when you have that energy, it's like life bends itself around your will and desire to actually move in that direction. Final thing that I would add to this is committing to a longer timeline. Now you might be like, oh, I want to get there really quick. There's a really interesting thing that happens when you are in for the long haul. It's kind of ironic. When I made that shift to being like, I am in this for the rest of my life and got really patient in my desire, from that space, things started happening much faster. Energetically, I had high intention and low attachment. And that's what I would recommend to you. Have the highest intention, but play it over a long time span so you can have low attachment. You can patiently rest into, I am going to play this game for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And then from that space, you'll also start making better strategic moves. You'll relax in. And as I said, things will probably end up speeding up for you with that level of commitment. I went from living a shadow career to living an aligned life. And I've helped hundreds of my clients do the exact same thing. And it's one of the most beautiful things to witness. Someone getting in alignment with their truth, with what they care about, and getting to see the ripple effect that that has in your life. Like even that itself is an act of service. There's great impact that comes when you get into alignment. It ripples into your partnership, your friends, your family. People see you lit up. It's the greatest gift that you can leave the world. It's so good to be back, and I'm now doing what I love, and I'm gonna be here on the channel. So I'm looking forward to get to meet more of you in the comments and to chat with you. And if you want to download the free app, the ToolBox, so you can start some of that training yourself, the link is in the description below.